Now we're going live. Well, there's my father. There's Mary Beth. She's going to be recording. There's got some cool people here. There's Kent. Anyway, we're here at Windhill Farm in Glastonbury. All right, let's do the Ashokan farewell. Okay. Joy likes this song. My wife Joy, she's eating pizza, and she's going to get this song that she likes, so...
When I saw her play the violin the way she does, and she just puts everything into it, her talent is just incredible.
I love playing music that makes people feel, but I'll tell you, it's hard to play music for me since being diagnosed with cancer, really. I was diagnosed in June 2013 with stage 3C ovarian cancer. At that point, it was estimated that I would live 3 to 5 years. Now the cancer is in my liver, it's in my lung, it's in my breast, it's on my skin. Okay, we're back. Oh, we're clapping again. Mary Beth is filming. You're on the camera. No, just kidding.
This is my friend Kim. We met about 25 years ago and we've got amazing memories. Since being diagnosed 8 years ago, she's continued to live life to its fullest. She worked for another 5 years and married the love of her life. But now, pain is constant and it's clear that things are progressing.
My cancer is going to kill me. It's just a fact. And I want to have an option.
Medical aid in dying is a medical practice where a terminally ill person with less than 6 months to live, who is mentally capable and able to self-ingest medication, can seek out a life-ending prescription from a physician. It's a law that's been on the books since 1997 in Oregon, and now 10 states and Washington, D.C. have access to the law.
My mom was on fire, like maybe sometimes a little too much, but she was an extremely passionate woman, and we could certainly go at it, verbally, but we also, when I think about who I laughed the hardest with in my life, it was my mom.
What happened when your mom was diagnosed with cancer?
I don't know. After my mom was diagnosed with cancer, it seemed like she was going to be able to get treated and get better and things were going to be okay. And then when it recurred, the world stopped, really. It was really just an unbelievably prolonged and brutal process of dying.
What was it like at the very end?
Just started, screaming and crying to die.
And there are a couple of staunch opponents, which has me scratching my head sometimes, that how could you hear such stories and then still impose your personal beliefs in a way that forbids them from being able to exercise theirs?
So what's going on with you these days? What's the latest?
Yeah, latest, nothing's good. Nothing's good. Really bad PET scan this week. It showed a lot of significant progression. I will not be surprised if it's indeed in my brain. Left untreated, the brain lesion won't kill me. It'll just further debilitate me.
The emotion goes from, I don't know, 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 I don't know crying to, sadness to being angry, and mostly scared for both of us because we don't know what's going to happen.
Dying is a process of losing control. That's natural. But knowing that you might come to a time of severe pain and not be able to do anything about it increases the anxiety.
The anxiety about not being able to breathe or struggling to breathe, and that feeling like even though you're not quite dead, you're suffocating all the time. If they have the option, it does greatly reduce that anxiety.
Many people don't use the choice, but they've got the choice. And I think knowing that they're a lot calmer, they can approach interaction with their family much better. I think the option is an extremely important aspect of medical aid in dying.
Should I get on the other side? Is there more to get on the other side?
That's okay. This is a nice little meeting.
You know, I've had some wonderful communications with some of our legislators. And then I've hit a lot of sort of brick walls from several legislators at this point who won't return my phone calls or my emails, won't meet with me, won't support the legislation. What allows them to be comfortable with my suffering? With my suffering or other terminally ill patients' suffering.
These laws can take years and years and years to pass. It took Maine over 20 years to pass their law. It took New Jersey over 15 years to pass. The largest opponent we have is the leadership of the Roman Catholic Church. Compared to the resources of our opponents, it's a real David and Goliath fight.
The Catholic Church lobbies very hard against laws that would support medical aid in dying. It seems to me that it would be much more fair to pass medical aid in dying, to make it legal, and then for the Catholic Church to make sure that they counsel their people not to pursue it.
If the Roman Catholic Church teaches that medical aid in dying is wrong, then it can continue to teach that. But for those of us who teach otherwise, and whose faith stance is different than theirs, why should we be prohibited from exercising our right to live by our faith practice?
When your religious decision impacts the life of somebody else, I got a problem with that, and that's not religious freedom to me.
The leadership of the Roman Catholic Church vehemently lobbies against aid in dying, but polls consistently show that the majority of Catholic people actually support its legalization. I reached out to the Hartford Diocese multiple times for an interview. They did not return my calls.
This is not a bill that, if it were to pass, anybody would be forced to utilize. It's about choice. If you don't like it, don't use it. Got it. But I have snacks.
Kim's been on a mission for 2 years, lobbying Connecticut lawmakers to get aid in dying approved before she dies.
All right.
But her time is running out now. So local advocates asked her if they could film her story before she can no longer tell it.
Tim. Hey there. Hi. How you doing? Yeah, I got you.
I think we're good.
There's no standard line of therapy that makes sense for me to try because I've tried just about all of them. I'm no longer eligible for trials because the cancer has metastasized to my brain. And it's not just one little lesion that, well, maybe we could target with radiation and zap it and see if we could clear that. And maybe still got a shot at this. But this is a stunning number. There's actually 30. 30 measurable cancer lesions in my brain. I had the opportunity to have a conversation with one of the purported leaders within the disability community. We had this very long conversation, very nice conversation, at the end of which this woman said to me, in a very nice way, she said this:
I would suggest that you have more control than you think you do over the current situation, because I don't need a doctor to help me if I decide to end my life. You know, we have control over certain things anyway. And I'm not,
Oh, you're right.
I'm not suggesting you do anything. I'm not. I'm not.
You are absolutely right. I do have control. I mean, and I was going to bring it because I wanted to show it to you. I've got a bottle this big of liquid dilaudid.
I bet.
You know?
Yep.
Just suck that down a few times and probably it would do me in. But you know what that would be right now, Kathy? That would not be medical aid in dying. That would be suicide. Big difference, one. Two, really big difference when it comes to my pension and my life insurance policy, all of which I am counting on helping my wife have a nice life that she's going to have to now live without me. Right? Because when you commit suicide, which is an illegal act, all those things come into question. They don't necessarily pay out on those kinds of policies.
Would it be a suicide or would it be an overdose?
Everybody knows I have my wits about me, so clearly still. So Kim Hoffman's not making that mistake. One. Two, how do I know how much do I have to swig down of this stuff to make sure it puts me out? How do I know that it just doesn't fry everything in my brain and I'm still alive? So now my wife has to deal with me in a suicide attempt induced coma, essentially. It's not okay, it's not fair, it's unkind to suggest that someone should have to do it that way. It is simply at its core mean. I do not understand how you can spend half of your life fighting against a medically established, medically studied, supported, in the states where it's legal means kind, gentle, pretty definitive means of ending someone's suffering. How can you fight so vehemently against that and then look the person who is suffering in the eye and say, oh, but roll the dice and see if you can just do it on your own? It's not in me to do it, and I won't. I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. I am dying. I'm going to die. There is no treatment.
The disability community, some of them are in opposition to medical aid in dying. But it's important to note that that is a very small minority of the disability community. 75% of people with disabilities are for medical aid in dying. One of our passions that we advocate for is independence, that we can make our own decisions. And please respect our wishes, and that includes respecting our end-of-life wishes.
I'm against assisted suicide because I think it opens a door. It sets up an expectation that if your life is not perfect for whatever reason, that there are other options and you might want to avail yourself.
So if someone does have less than 6 months to live,
Mm-hmm.
and they publicly say, I want, assistance in dying,
Mm-hmm.
and they go through those hurdles, then if they ultimately take the medication themselves, why is there a problem?
The issue is with hundreds and hundreds of these cases, how do you know what happened in every single circumstance? Did everyone do it willingly?
Kathy raises an important concern. I was able to find a 2023 study from Voices in Bioethics. It found that there have been no documented or substantiated incidents of medical aid in dying abuse since Oregon became the first legal state in 1997. I reached out to the author, David Hoffman, to get more information. So that paper that you had published in Voices in Bioethics, can you first talk about what you did to come to your findings?
So we started talking at conferences and gathering opinions from anyone who would talk about this, and quickly came to the conclusion that there just have not been any cases.
You're now leading an empirical study through Columbia University to investigate this issue further. Can you tell me what that research is and what your results have been thus far?
The criteria for our study is to identify any case, any circumstance where a particular individual, identifiable individual, was subject to coercion or undue influence in making the decision to obtain a prescription for medical aid in dying drugs. And we're conducting that research now. We have had no reported cases. When asked, no one in the community opposed to medical aid in dying has what we lawyers call documentary evidence of any such coercion or undue influence having occurred.
Please join me in welcoming Bob Jundeff.
Bob Jundeff is the former longtime executive director of Disability Rights Oregon. So I got in touch with him to see what his experience was with aid in dying in the state of Oregon.
During the period that I was still working with Disability Rights Oregon, which was about 20 years of watching, and during those 20 years, we literally never received a complaint that a person was being exploited or being pressured or otherwise being influenced to use the law.
There are so many safeguards. There are 2 doctors that must certify that you're 6 months or less to live. A mental health evaluation, on and on. It's hard even for someone with cancer and a terminal illness, unless they're really on their game, to go through all the steps.
A lot of the opposition from disability activists sort of turn on, I think, 2 points. The first is people with disabilities are going to be killed, the language is often used. Then there's a second dominant strain that runs through their arguments, and that is generally that we're saying really bad things about the value of lives if we suggest some are not worth living. That seems to imply that people with disabilities are easily coerced. I think that that's demeaning towards people with disabilities. And when we suggest that they need to be protected from themselves, that strikes me as doing more harm than good.
What will your end of life look like? I mean, if based on what you learned from other people.
Usually what kills is choking, because we lose the muscular ability to swallow. I didn't really want to go that way, and that's really why I want the choice.
Do you feel like people should have a choice? People like Kim should have a choice?
I feel that we already have choices.
seems wrong. Why should you love me like you?
One thing I know is true. I've known Kim longer than any of you. What I have seen is an amazing growth in Kim, excuse me, in Kim as a performer. And it's so nice to hear all the sweet and loving comments from each of you. And Kim, I love you. I'll stop here.
Thank you very much. You might have to tweak it a little bit. This tune for the third fret, you gotta change the tune every time.
This is that I worked up special, but not really.
You want a capo? You got your own. Okay. Let's see. Great job.
Does everybody know what that is? Anybody know what that is?
It's a Django song.
Then it's Gilligan's Island.
Oh, right.
Certainly
is. Right. You know, in some ways, and only some very, very little bit of a way, I feel a little stranded on an island. I encourage you to support and reach out to legislators in this state to support the aid in dying legislation that we are hoping to get back on the in the legislature in February. It is a bill about kindness. It's a bill about respect. It's a bill about individuality. It's a bill about not forcing people to suffer and watch their often slow, gradual, debilitating demise. So that's it. That's my ask. And keep laughing. All right, now let's see if you can play anything.
I can. Yeah.
30 plus lesions in my brain. And, you know, I'm gradually seeing the impact. My gait in general is impaired. I tumble around the house sometimes, bumping into walls and doors, and fallen a few times. The only time I'm not really experiencing the pain, though, is if I'm asleep. I'm at a point now where I'm on a pretty steady dosing of narcotics. The golden era of hospice is palliative sedation, meaning they give you so much pain medication that you just don't wake up. You're just unconscious. There's no coming out of that. There's no cure. There's no end. You just die like that until your heart finally says, okay, I can't take any more morphine. I'm just going to stop beating. Going on this cancer journey is kind of like rock climbing. And that's because once you climb, you're always, when you're climbing, you're always looking for a hold. You're always looking for What do you hold on to keep moving yourself forward and up, or sideways and up? You're always looking for a hold in the rock, a grip, a step, something. And that's what it is when you're battling cancer and on this journey. It's like you're always looking like, how do I keep holding on? How do I keep moving through? How do I keep moving through? I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I am not suicidal. This is not a suicide bill, and I am not suicidal. I am in my right mind. I want the option. A time is going to come, and it may be very soon, where I'm not going to be able to get up. And that's going to be a very, very sad day for me, and, you know, intolerable for my wife, I would imagine. And she is essentially an angel. I am blessed to have her in my life and to be the recipient of her love. So.
You guys can go back and together.
Oopsies. All right. Thanks. For the steady flowing water all around you, it feeds your soul with all the power it provides. Oh, I hear the river call me softly from a distance. I hear the river call me gently where I lay. Oh, I know the pounding of the current with each heartbeat. It's by the river I am dreaming. Oh, it's by the river I am dreaming. It's by the river I am dreaming. I can stay